Pensions and Elections will come to order. We do not have a quorum here right now, so we're starting a subcommittee, and we'll begin. When we do get a quorum, I just want to let everybody know we're probably going to come out and go into executive session, and we've got some bills to exec out today, but we'll start with, here we go, House Bill 1867. Representative Roberts, when you're ready, please begin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Lane Roberts, District 161, here to present House Bill 1867. House Bill 1867 is enabling legislation for the City of Joplin to place a ballot measure before our voters. The ballot measure would allow the increase in the transient guest tax from 4% to 8%. That 2% difference would be used solely for construction and maintenance of new capital projects to promote tourism for the city. It's a little unusual to see a bill of this nature as a standalone bill, but this is a unique bill because the first project and the genesis of the bill is the preservation of Historic Memorial Hall in Joplin. This is a 100-year-old structure. It was built as a promise to our veterans that we would never forget, but as you all know, we do forget. And this building is intended to make sure that we avoid that. That building's been on the cusp of demolition for several years, and this bill may be its last chance, hence the standalone bill. The bill is supported by the hotel industry, by the city, by the American Legion, and the Citizens Committee that brought this to my attention. It came out with strong support in committee, from rules, and again on the House floor. With that, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Any questions for the representative? Senator Berger.
Good afternoon, Chief. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Nice to see you over here. Is it 5% now?
No, it's 4% now.
Okay. When I'm looking at this, it says currently a number of cities and counties are authorized, blah, 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 up to 5% per occupied room per night. But this is going from 4 to 6?
Yes.
Where's the 5% come, do you know?
Frankly, I've never heard the 5% figure before.
Well, I think that's talking about a number of cities, but his city necessarily wasn't. That's a summary.
Okay. I think that's what they're Okay. I think he answered my question. Thank you.
You were just testing me?
Any other questions for the representative? Seeing none. Anybody to testify in support, please come forward. Make sure you turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chairman Henderson, Vice Chair Berger, and the members of the Pension and Local Government Elections Committee. My name is Clifford Wirt. I'm a 72-year-long lifelong resident of Joplin, Webb City. I'm a graduate of the Joplin Public Schools and Missouri Southern State University. I retired in 2013 from U.S. Bank there in Joplin. Since 2009, I've been involved with Connect to Culture and with the Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. And since 2024, I've been involved in the project that is before you. You've heard from Representative Roberts here today, and we thank Representative Roberts for handling that in the House. And we also thank Senator Joe Carter, who's present with us today to hear this testimony, to also lead that charge in the Senate. Joplin's current 4% lodging tax is comprised of two distinct 2% designations for use of funds. The language of House Bill 1867 sets forth the specific use for an increase from 4 to 6% solely to provide money for the construction and maintenance of new capital projects to promote tourism in such city, i.e. Joplin. The first project proposed for Joplin is the rehabilitation of Memorial Hall that was built 100 years ago as a memorial to those who made their ultimate sacrifice in World War I and other conflicts, and it was built also for community purposes. What's equally exciting is that that there will be succeeding projects that will be brought forth for Joplin's future through additional capital improvement projects after Memorial Hall. I ask for the committee's positive vote to support House Bill 1867 to move forward through the legislative process. This will give Joplin citizens the opportunity to vote upon its future growth and success. Welcoming visitors to our Joplin community who spend their disposable dollars while visiting and staying in Joplin will generate an economic value for Joplin, and I might add a direct economic value for the state of Missouri. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you in support of House Bill 1867. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for the witness? Senator Berger.
I don't want to dwell on this, but if I'm looking at the summary, it says currently a number of cities and counties are authorized by statute to impose a tax on charges paid by transient guests of hotels and motels of up to 5% per occupied room per night. The proceeds of this tax are to be used solely for funding a convention and visitors bureau. Could you be at 5% now if you want it to be?
Under that statute, I believe it's 167, forgot the specific number, yes, but there was some legislation passed in previous years that capped at what you were at the rate at the time that legislation was passed. I can't remember the exact year.
So you can't
but we have been at 4% for multiple of years. Although that legislation was there was subsequent legislation that capped at either a maximum of 5 or what you were at the time that legislation was passed. The time that subsequent legislation was passed, the city of Joplin was at 4%. So we've been capped at 4% for years and years, and we have not been able to move that unless we have this specific legislation.
You know, the summary doesn't say it that way at all. It says you could actually be at 5% now if you want it to be.
I can answer only that that we are presently at 4%, have been capped at 4% for a multiple of years, have not gone above 4%, and now we are requesting that increase from 4 to 6.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Before we go into this, since we have a quorum here and a lot of people have a lot of places to go, I'm going to make a motion that we go into... Huh? Oh, would you take roll, please?
Henderson?
Here.
Berger?
Here.
Beck? Here. Black?
Here.
Bratton? Crawford? Nicola?
Here.
Nuremberg.
And a quorum has been established. I now make a motion that we go into executive session. Do I have a second? Second. We have a second. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? And the ayes have it. We're in executive session. The first one today is going to be, I move that we take up Senate Bill 986. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. It may be a good idea to begin by explaining the situation at hand. There are 2 reconsideration motions and a roll call votes, one to reconsider the failed do pass motion and one to reconsider the adoption of the committee substitute. Following that, there will be a motion to adopt the new substitute with a voice vote and a motion to do pass the bill out of committee with a roll call vote. Having voted on the prevailing side of the motion to do pass Senate Bill 986, I move that the committee reconsider the vote of said bill. Do I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I just wanted to clarify exactly what's up to the 0.06C.
Yes. Any other discussion? Okay, Alex, please call the roll.
Henderson?
Aye.
Berger?
Aye.
Beck? Black? Aye. Bratton? Crawford? Nicola? Aye. Nuremberg? 41.
Okay, by your vote of 4-1, having voted on the prevailing side of the motion by which the Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 986 was adopted, I move that the committee reconsider the adoption of the substitute. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Alex, please call the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Berger,
Aye.
Beck, Black, Bratton, Crawford, Nicola, Nuremberg.
By your vote of 4-1, you've done that. We are now back on the bill, and we have a new substitute ending in 06C. I move that we adopt the substitute. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the substitute, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. I move that we vote Senate Bill 986 with Senate committee substitute out of committee do pass. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Berger,
Aye.
Beck, Black, Bratton, Crawford, Nicola, Nuremberg.
By your vote of 4-1, you have do passed Senate Bill 986. Okay, our next one on executive session. I move that we take up House Bill 1940. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. And the ayes appear to have it. This is Representative McGaugh's bill regarding newspaper qualifications to run public notices and advertisements. We have a substitute to include a portion of Senator Crawford's Senate Bill 1094 dealing with bond notification in newspapers. Senator Crawford's language has already been voted out of this committee. Senator Crawford isn't here anymore. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them. We'll get you an answer, but we voted this out already. And just at this point in the year, trying to put them together and give that another avenue. And so we have a committee substitute ending in point 2C, and I move that we adopt the substitute. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the substitute say aye. Aye. All those opposed? And the ayes have it. I now move that we vote House Bill 1940 with Senate committee substitute out of committee do pass. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Alex, please call the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Berger,
Aye.
Beck, Black, Bratton, Crawford, Nicola. 5-0.
By your vote of 5-0, you have voted do pass House Bill 1940 with a committee substitute. We will now go to, I move that we take up House Bill 2600. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? And the ayes have it. This is Representative Farnan's bill dealing with the ambulance districts. It is similar to Senate Bill 975 we heard and voted out of committee earlier. Senator Black, since we voted this out earlier, do you have any comments?
There's been continual negotiations. I think we've made it to the point, when I say I think, I'm 99% sure that everybody's on board. There's some language changes. Both the Senate bill and this bill match now on both sides of the Capitol. So I believe you're safe in supporting this without getting any undue problem.
Thank you, Senator Black. I now move that House Bill 2600 out of committee do pass. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. Alex, please call the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Berger,
Aye.
Beck, Black, Bratton, Crawford, Nicola, Nuremberg. 5-0.
By your vote of 5-0, you have voted do pass House Bill 2600. And the next one up is, I move that we take up House Bill 2818. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? And the ayes appear to have it. This is Representative Shields' bill dealing with the airport annexation in St. Joe. We have a substitute that includes Central Shores 1342 dealing with the annexation in St. Charles County. We heard and voted out earlier this year. This new language also includes Jefferson County at this point. I can give you a little bit of that information on that. Just to remind you what Central Shores bill did is, I've got it right here, any contiguous and compact connected by 25% of the incorporated areas along the perimeter could be subject to being brought in there. So that was a bill, and we voted it out earlier in his bill. Questions on that? Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we do have a committee substitute ending in point 3C, and I move that we adopt the substitute. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the substitute say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. And the ayes have it. I now move that we vote Senate committee substitute for House Bill 2818 out of committee do pass. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Alex, please call the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Berger. Aye. Beck. Black. Aye. Bratton. Crawford. Nicola.
Okay, by your vote of 5-0, you have voted out Senate Bill 2818 with a Senate substitute. I now make a motion that we go out of executive session. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed? And we're out of executive session. So now we are back. Let me get myself straight here. Okay, we are back on House Bill 1867 of Representative Roberts. And anybody else to testify in support? Please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tony Duggar, registered lobbyist for the city of Joplin. We want to go on record very much in support of this bill. This memory hall is very important to Joplin, and this tax will also give Joplin another tool for the future capital projects that they can use in the community to help with tourism.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support? Seeing none. Anybody to testify in opposition? Please come forward, turn in your witness form, and begin when you're ready.
Lisa Panett with Armorvine. I seem to be here too often telling Republicans that they're not supposed to put tax increases on the ballot. I expect this from Democrats. It's part of your party. It's just not with Republicans that I seem to go in front of anyway, and our organization seems to go in front of. Also with this is a little bit confusing because it's supposed to be for tourism, and yet everything that's been mentioned has been capital improvement projects. So what are we doing? Are we putting money for tourism to bring tourism in? Or is this really for capital improvement projects? That would be nice for the people at least to know when they're voting on it, what they're really voting on. And that's all.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in opposition? Seeing none. Anybody to testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Representative Roberts, you have anything in closing? Okay, that will take care of the hearing on House Bill 1867. Next up is House Bill 1768, Representative Brown. I think we've heard this bill before just for the committee, and I'll be brief. And if you will, begin when you're ready.
Chairman Henderson, committee members, thank you for time and opportunity to present House Bill 1768. For the record, I am Chris Brown, State Representative, District 16 out of the Northland of Kansas City. House Bill 1786 would prohibit county assessors the ability to change the assessment classification on residential property being used as a short-term rental from residential to commercial. Changing the assessment from residential to commercial is a sizable increase from 19 to 32%, cutting into already very thin margins. These are residential homes in zoned residential areas with residential activities going on in them. People are sleeping, eating, watching television, and playing with the kids. There is not a daily brunch prepared by the staff. There is not a daily cleaning service. There is not a daily staff-provided happy hour, and there's definitely not a sign out front that says, "Open for business." These are residential homes and should be classified as such. Senators, I know you've heard this bill numerous times, so I will not belabor the bill. The House version has been voted out of the Special Committee on Property Tax Reform, Rules, and Fiscal Review without any no votes, and was voted off the floor of the House 110 to 35, signaling widespread bipartisan support. The Senate version, sponsored by Senators Ben Brown and Senator Nirenberg, was voted out of local government on February 9th, and then out of the Senate with a 30 yes and 3 no votes. Additionally, the Senate version was thoughtfully amended to improve the overall application of the bill. Language was added to limit the number of short-term rentals an individual may own or be a part owner to a 15 cap. The House version, this House version, would welcome that language as well. Thank you for your time, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the witness?
Not really a question, but thank you for that, because we did, and I think there was also a little, some language about corporations too in there too that we put on there. But if you're open to that, then I'm good.
I'm open to it.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Representative. Anybody to testify in support, please come forward.
Good morning, or afternoon, excuse me. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Chris Ropey here on behalf of the Missouri Vacation Home Association. Very supportive of this legislation. This is the fourth time that you've heard this. This is a matter of fairness and wanting to keep taxes the appropriate way that they should be done, and stopping some rogue assessors from abusing this. And I know you'll hear from the hotel motel lobby. We do like the changes that were made and worked in a bipartisan fashion with Senator Beck and Senator Nicola over the past 2 years to get those changed in the bill, and look forward to this bill receiving unanimous support from this committee as well. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Anybody else to testify in support? Seeing none. Anybody testify in opposition? Please make sure you turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Missouri Hotel and Lodging Association, just wanted to put a couple things in people's minds when they're talking about this. One, if a person owns a property and has to collect sales tax for 100% of the activity inside that structure, then it's a business. Whether it's selling rooms, selling meals, or selling antiques. The law does not require these properties to be assessed commercial, but instead allows the local jurisdiction to make that decision. The appeal is with the local assessor. Local control. Owning multiple properties that you never intend to live nor vacation in makes it a business. Our costs are passed on to customers. So if that's the concern for short-term rentals, then we should be treated equally. An equal playing field is all that hotels ask for. If you want to rent out a portion of your home, we do not object to that being classified as residential. We also believe that a second home that the owner frequents should not be classified as residential. Many owners of these properties are LLCs, corporations. They take big business deductions for them and depreciate them on their taxes as businesses. Why then should they not be taxed as a business? The owners often state, "We're just trying to make a little extra money." Well, that's the definition of commerce, and it's a business. There's a disadvantage in a marketplace when both entities are providing housing to transient guests who have no ownership in the property, but are being treated differently. One of the comparisons that we hear a lot of times is the difference is that those who live in long-term rentals pay personal property tax at that address. They receive their mail there, and they are a resident of that community. Short-term rental occupants do none of the above. Finally, I agree with the gentleman from before. I haven't seen a sign in front of these short-term rentals that say open for business, but there's one worth billions of dollars on the internet, and it's there every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else to testify in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jorgen Schleiner on behalf of the St. Louis Hotel Lodging Association. Very briefly, the sponsor noted the 15-unit residential cap in the bill. I testify this bill doesn't have that in there. He said he's willing to put it in there. It is in the Senate bill that you sent over. I did testify last week or 2 weeks ago in front of the House committee stating that I don't think the language quite gets, I think the intent is there, but the language isn't quite clear enough. I do have an amendment that makes it more clear that a member, because you're not an owner of an LLC, you're a member of an LLC, and it cleans up some of that language to ensure that multiple LLCs or businesses aggregated is what makes the 15 cap, not each of them individually. And I think that's what the bill is trying to say and trying to do. I just don't think it quite hits it. So I'll leave with you and I'll leave with the sponsor that very brief amended language.
Okay, before we get into questions, I'll just say, get with the sponsor if you would.
I will.
We can do a substitute if we need, sub if we need to when we get ready to exec this, and make sure we do it the right way. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in opposition? Anybody for informational purposes only? And seeing none, Representative, you have anything else to add?
Not at this time, Chairman.
Okay. That will conclude the hearing on House Bill 1768. Next up is House Bill 1871. Representative McGaugh, when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you, Senators. Excuse my tardiness. I've been over in the House chambers with Senator Nuremberg with lovely ladies who receive scholarships from all of our good work that we do raising money for them. And so my papers are a little, I'm very sorry. I thought I had everything together here.
Take your time. Will there be a list of girls that got the scholarships?
Yes, I have one with me, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I was more prepared for that than I was for this. Yeah. Sorry. So you have heard this particular bill many times. As you know, my name is Peggy McGaugh. I serve the 7th District, which is Carroll, Livingston, Lynn, and a portion of Ray counties. And a version of this bill has been in this committee for several years because it's just good election law. This particular year, it has changed in a way that most everything, if anybody questioned it, that it wouldn't pass on the floor, it's been taken out, which includes the presidential preference primary and anything to do with additional weeks of no excuse absentee voting. That tended to be a problem with some of the representatives and senators, both on the Democrat and Republican side. So that's been removed. Now, there is still 2 weeks, no excuse, in the law, but there's not the additional 2 weeks in this bill. So on the floor, there were some amendments added that included that August 12th of each year will be Election Worker Appreciation Day. That coincides with the National Election Worker Appreciation Day. And that came about with just the general feeling that we need to appreciate these people. They work so dang hard out there, and I think it's time that we have a day to appreciate them. Also, we added to this bill what we've been working with the Missouri Bar and the the Treasurer's Office with the bond elections. You know, there was a problem with the bond elections weren't advertised exactly correctly in some of the previous elections last year, so it caused a problem to where Auditor Fitzpatrick couldn't allow those to go forward. So in this bill now we have that notice of elections must be published twice. However, some jurisdictions under a certain size now have legal requirements to be able to publish them in the newspaper or mail them. The mailing must occur within 6 weeks prior to the election, and the election authority is permitted to exclude from the mailing any voter designated as inactive. So that's the new part, to save on postage. The best part of this bill is something we've been working on for so many years, and it's just easy to think about those secretaries of the school boards who are left sitting in their offices during Christmas break because they're having to take filings for the April election. This bill will change that filing period so it doesn't fall within the Christmas break. It simply moves the filing time by 1 week from the 16th Tuesday prior to the election to the 13th Tuesday prior to the election. So the bill provides that if the 13th Tuesday prior to the election is a state or federal holiday, the closing filing date will be the next day that is not a state or federal holiday, because that happens. Not too often, but it happens enough that it needed to be addressed in this bill. Also, we needed to address the time in which the automatic tabulating equipment needed to be tested. Sometimes it had a small time frame, and we don't want to rush. We don't want to rush the election authorities in the testing of this, because this is a very important step. So this bill specifies that this test must occur no later than 1 week prior to an election. So the test within 14 days prior to the election is what's in this bill. This bill also addresses the postcard application that our military people use. You know, it's now currently a fact that those people that are serving in military who happen to be home can go to their polling place on election day without being registered, the fact that they are in the military, and vote. But the election authorities have stated that it gets complicated when the election judges don't know these people and they don't have them in the polling books. So the local election authorities would like them to come to the office. And so this bill changes that these covered voters, is what they're called in statute, it brings them to the election authorities' offices. This bill also changes the law that the city of St. Louis now will also have to have paid their taxes and provide a no tax due statement for local, personal, and real property taxes. They were exempt before, and this came out. Several years. This has been, ever since I've been here, we've had a bill like this, and it's never gone through. And so in this bill, St. Louis City would be treated like every other city in the state. Finally, this bill also has existing procedures for voters using provisional ballots. And you know, provisional ballots are for people whose immediate the fact that they may not be registered at that polling place, and now some of those are voting absentee, and so it wasn't clear to the election authorities if they couldn't clearly determine at that day that they came in to vote absentee whether they should give them a provisional or not. This bill allows them to vote a provisional ballot when they come in on the day of no excuse absentee. It also allows them to have provisionals in all public elections. And then finally, this bill also, it requires people who want to be a candidate to file to be a write-in candidate. What's confusing to the election authorities and what takes a lot of time on election night is to have to count all the Mickey Mouses and the Jesus Christs and the people who really don't want to run for office, but their neighbors write them in, or they write themselves in on a blank line just to be able to see their name on a result. So this bill has them be a filed declaration of candidacy. The last thing that got added as an amendment to this bill was that you cannot have, let me read it because it's a little lengthy. Currently, no contribution or expenditure of public funds can be made directly by any officer, employee, or agent of any political subdivision, school district, or charter school to advocate, support, or oppose the passage or defeat of any ballot measure or candidate for public office. This bill adds special districts to the list of public entities in this prohibition. And what this is stating is, it was brought to my attention that special districts, which included fire districts, were allowed to spend public funds, their tax dollars, in advocating for their issues. And this bill would not allow for them to spend their tax dollars in this way. And that's the sum total of this House Bill 1871.
Questions for the representative? Seeing none. Thank you. Anybody here to testify in support, please come forward. Here they come. Please turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Well, hello.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Marilyn McLeod. I'm a citizen who lives in Boone County, and I am the past president of the League of Women Voters of Missouri. So as you can imagine, voting is a critical issue with our organization. We are pleased to provide support for this bill, particularly some of the aspects of it, allowing the provisional ballots at all elections. That was a missing piece that we realized after the voter ID law was passed. It also will protect the identities of people with disabilities and will provide election information to voters. This is one of those things that anecdotally I've talked to people who, depending on where they live, they may not get good information about what's on their upcoming ballot. And that's one of the most critical things that we would think is incumbent upon us as citizens, is to have good information for when we vote. So that's a really positive thing. Also, if I may, thank Representative McGaugh for all of her years of service as an election official, which was dedication to the state, and also for her efforts at trying to make our election laws work better. If you have any questions.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in support, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Richard Sheets with the Missouri Municipal League, and we want to go on record in supporting House Bill 1871 and thank Representative McGaugh for her hard work on this bill. Specifically, we really support the provision that changes the municipal filing date. That's been something we've been working on for years, and it just gets caught up in various things, and we appreciate your support for this bill also. I'll try to answer any questions if I can.
You know, I only got a statement, and that filing date has been a problem, and you have people sitting in offices for maybe a week sometimes, and nobody comes in, which isn't a real good use of our resources, so I think that's probably a good provision.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chris Ropey here on behalf of the Missouri Association of County Clerks and Election Authorities. Very appreciative of Representative McGaugh working so diligently on this legislation, as well as Senator Crawford for these past several years. We have worked very closely with them, and there is truly nothing controversial in this legislation. We've tried to keep all of that out, so it is a good election cleanup bill that will help elections run more safe and secure and smoothly. That will benefit all of our citizens, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Senator Berger.
To make a comment, Chris, do you have Representative McCall's and Senator Crawford's numbers saved for next year and the following years?
They're going to be relied upon as expert witnesses. They're in the bullpen, ready to go.
Without it, and we need that.
I agree. Well, let's just get this done this year, and then we won't have to even worry about that as much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Chairman, committee members, Pat Kelly, Municipal League, Metro St. Louis, just want to go on record in support of the bill.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Steve Hobbs, Missouri Association of Counties. Also want to go on record in support of this legislation.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Doug Cruz. I'm with Missouri Press Association. Thank you for the bill. We worked with the county clerks on a compromise in this bill, and if county clerks mail the election notice to registered voters, then the election notice is published only once in newspapers rather than twice. We support this compromise, and we also support the 6 weeks before the election. That's when the notices are supposed to run, and so that's a plus too. So, thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in support?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Alex Eaton representing Responsive Government Action. Would like to go on record in support of the piece of legislation and appreciate Representative McGaugh bringing it forward. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in support?
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the record, Brandon Alexander, Chief of Staff for the State Auditor. There's something in this bill for everyone, so just wanted to go on record in support of the provisions, specifically that mirror Senator Crawford's Senate Bill 1094 that you all have voted out unanimously and tacked on to another bill 45 minutes ago. So it's a good bill. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in support? Seeing none. Anybody in opposition? Seeing none. Anybody for informational purposes only? And with that, Senator McGaugh, you have anything to add? Or Representative?
Thank you for the endorsement there. No, I'm not running, I'm going home. Thank you very much for hearing the bill, and I appreciate everything.
Okay, that will take care of our hearing on House Bill 1871. Next up is House Bill 2384. Representative Jones, please come forward and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mike Jones. I represent House District 12, and I think we can all agree that Missouri is facing a serious housing affordability crisis, and regulations are driving housing costs even higher for Missouri families. Missouri is short more than 115,000 housing units, and the average new home price is now over $415,000, putting home ownership out of reach for many families. House Bill 2384 targets three cost drivers that raise prices without improving safety. First, it reins in excessive energy mandates that can add tens of thousands of dollars to the cost of a home while doing nothing for structural or life safety. After adoption of the 2021 International Energy Code, single-family permits dropped by more than half in parts of Missouri, and many builders have left that part of the market entirely. Second, the bill establishes clear permitting timelines. When approvals drag on with no end date, projects become more expensive and risk increases. This adds additional costs, discourages investment, and further reduces housing supply. Third, it modernizes outdated design rules by allowing certain multifamily buildings to be built with one staircase instead of two. This will lower costs and expand housing options while still meeting strict safety standards. This bill reduces regulations, protects consumer freedom, reduces unnecessary costs, preserves safety, and helps restore the American dream of home ownership. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to take questions.
Questions for this witness? Senator Nirenberg.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Representative.
Good afternoon.
I know that probably didn't surprise you that I had a question for you on this bill. Let's start with the new provision of this bill. I don't remember this last year in the legislation, so correct me if I'm wrong. Was this part in terms of the additional, having the two exits, was that required last year?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Let me try this one more time. You're talking to the mic a little bit closer. The new provision in the bill that says that you would only need one single exit stair. Is that a new provision in this legislation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a new provision.
And so I've heard a lot of pushback about this. Have you been able to work with any of the fire protection districts or any of the folks that are concerned about safety when it comes to this new provision?
Yeah, so I've talked to all of them, probably as much as you have, and I welcome any fix or amendment or any suggestions they might have. I did encourage them, though, because this has been done, and just to give you a list, it's been done in Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, Colorado, Montana, Tennessee, Minnesota, and New York. So I encourage them to say, go research a little bit. I don't think there's any glaring safety issues, but I was willing to listen to whatever feedback they may have, because when they build these, they still have to abide by the IBC, the International Building Code, and the Fire Code, and that's why they're moving to this, because it takes up less of a footprint and it's more cost effective, and we need all types of housing, including multifamily, so that was the reason.
Yeah, and I certainly don't disagree with that. We all know that we need more affordable housing, all of these things. My concern is really when it comes to safety, and I don't know in those other states if we're talking about the same level and the same amount of stories, et cetera. There's a lot that goes into how those other states pass that. But again, I certainly have concerns about this new provision that I think really would, God forbid something, we pass something like this and there's a terrible tragedy. And I think, if we would have done something to prevent that from happening. So certainly concerned about that new piece of this legislation. But going back to, I guess, more or less the catalyst for introducing this last year, are you aware that the city of Kansas City rolled back some of their provisions earlier this spring from those 2021 building codes?
I am. It was a little complex. They did it off of the HERS rating, I guess making it easier for people to meet that. Although it seems very confusing instead of putting a date on it. But so from what I can tell, talking with folks that know more about it than I do, sounds like they might have scaled it back to about 2018. That makes sense to me if you put a date on it as far as a code. The HERS rating gets a little bit confusing, but I think there's some folks behind me that could probably, if there's a question behind that, can answer that a little better as far as where they ended up with that rating.
Well, and I'm not saying by no means am I completely in support of what the council just did, but I do think they were receptive, saying, hey, we went a little bit too far. We probably need to go back in the middle. And I think ultimately this is one of the things that I worry about codifying in statute when new information comes forward. I think it's really important that local municipalities have local control over these decisions. What I do want to say, because I know there's plenty of folks here to testify, is this is something that I hope we can continue to work on. I do think we could probably get this bill to a place that we can be comfortable with, so I just want to share my commitment to that. But I also hope that you're willing to negotiate a little bit when it comes, especially to the fire safety. To me, that's one where I don't know how we budge. But as well as making sure that, again, we have lots of municipalities that are looking at this all over the state and making sure that we're respecting that local control as well. So let's continue those conversations as we have in the past and see what we can do. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I look forward to any good faith discussions about it. I think, to your point, this is something that, with regard to safety and structural, and to the staircase, I'm open to anything that the fire districts have as far as suggestions and what parts they don't like, maybe what parts they'd like to add. And as far as the energy codes, the building community in general are willing to follow the 2024 building codes, right, with regard to structure and safety. This only pertains to the energy efficiency standards, which I believe should be left to the customer. What type of windows they want to put in their house, what type of HVAC. Do they want solar? Do they want to wire it for an EV? How much insulation do they want to put in the house? I think those are consumer freedom type questions when it comes to ultimately raising the cost of building a house. I think it equates to if, and as everybody knows, it's already difficult to buy a house, and I think buying a new one is far, far out of reach for most people. And this isn't a silver bullet, but I do believe it's going to make a difference as far as getting people into a home. But I do want to make sure that everyone knows the difference, because I think there's going to be some people behind me that try to blend together structure, safety, building codes, and confuse those with energy codes. But I welcome any conversations, Senator.
Senator Bratton.
I just want to thank you for bringing this bill forward. I mean, nothing in this bill prohibits anyone, if you want to build your structure to R30 in your walls and, the most premier windows or the highest SEER rating for your HVAC system. Nothing prohibits you if you want to build and go to that expense. Nothing prohibits you from that, correct?
Correct, Senator.
This is just putting forth a base of standard, not a requirement to make you spend an absorbent amount of money in order to build something. I will point out that there's only a few counties actually in this entire state that even have a codes and zoning of where you can go and build your home without even getting a permit. As a contractor myself, I can't tell you how many structures I've done from the 1900s. They didn't have building codes then. Yeah, do they do things differently? But I hate this continual, even with the structural stuff. I mean, I know this doesn't touch that, but I mean, to where we're adopting potential, codes in that realm to where it's benefiting certain markets and, product manufacturers that went to a bunch of engineers to approve their product and only their product to utilize for structural, garbage. When amazingly, for 40 years, we've been doing it XYZ way, and everything is A-okay. So, we kind of, a lot of times, kind of over-engineer things as well to where it's just ridiculous, and it's an onerous cost, and again, it's driving up the cost exponentially, especially in the structural. I know this doesn't have to do with it, but I just want to point that out that, numerous counties, houses aren't caving in, falling in, and falling apart without a codes and a building permit. So people want to build nice quality homes regardless of the permitting process. So thank you for this bill.
Yeah, and Senator, I will say to your point, there's going to be people come up here, and probably insulation people and electrician people, architects, and it's all about the money they're making from these mandated codes. Make no mistake, that's why they're here. This bill has been brought in good faith for the people of Missouri to lower the cost of housing and to expand more housing, because we need all types, whether it's apartments or multi-family or single family. But that's what they're here to protect. That they're here to protect the money that these mandates generate, whether it's from the energy codes or structural building codes.
Any further questions for this witness? Seeing none. Anybody to testify in support, please come forward. Turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Will Reuter, here on behalf of the Home Builders Association of Greater Kansas City, here in support of HB 2384. One of the most frequent questions that is posed to me in my travels around the Kansas City metro, both on the Kansas and Missouri side, is, what are the cost drivers of housing? Why do things cost what they cost, either in rent or for purchase? And so HB 2384 has perhaps 3 of what could be 300 provisions in a bill like this. But today, discussing what are the things that a state legislature can control. Certainly, you all cannot negotiate international trade agreements to source materials. You've got no control over the interest rate of what a consumer or a builder would be able to acquire. So what are some of the regulatory things that certainly is within a purview of a body like this? Housing supply is governed largely by 5 L's: land, labor, lending, lumber, and laws. And the confluence of those 5 things typically dictate what is able to be brought to the built environment. So on the law side of things, that's what we're speaking about today. Make no mistake about it, the adoption of the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code has had a measurable detrimental impact on housing volume as well as the speed at which it's being brought to the Kansas City market. But it's not just Kansas City, it is markets across the United States that are experiencing that as well. States like California, Vermont, Delaware have all either put a freeze or have rolled back their latest energy codes. Then you also have states that have capped what is allowed to be brought to market in their states as well. So I don't want anyone to think that this is an abolition of energy codes. This does not say that energy efficiency is not important whatsoever. We recognize that lower utility bills affects cost of ownership, not just acquisition. And so we are certainly short of housing in this country. There's not enough suitable housing in the places that people want to live. And this bill, in our view, simply centers on 3 aspects that can bring additional options to the market at lower price points that more people can afford. Certainly, as has been stated, this is not a magic bullet. One of those does not exist. But we are in the business now of exploring the things that will, instead of providing a total fix, at least make it better. So I'll conclude there and be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Lynn Schlosser. I'm here today on behalf of the builders of Kansas City, a chapter of the AGC, and we'd like to go on record in support of the bill and thank the representative for including the commercial builders as well.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. James Harris representing FGA Action, testify in support. I think it's a great thing to have a discussion on building codes and are there too many, and what does that do to the cost as a cost driver. We're supportive of the fast track permitting, which is on page 3. I think that's very similar to Senate Bill 1286, and we're also supportive, Mr. Chairman, if you have a committee sub of making the change that you did to 1286 where we narrowed it just to single resident dwellings, because that was not the intent to apply it to commercial or industrial things. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Chris Ropey, this time here on behalf of the St. Louis Home Builders Association. We are very supportive of this legislation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, Jay Hahn on behalf of Missouri Restaurant Association. We also would like to go on record in support of this bill.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm Angie Schulte here on behalf of the St. Louis Apartment Association, and we just appreciate the sponsor bringing this bill forward. As we know, housing costs are increasing, and for us, some of the energy mandates can really add a lot of costs to our new construction. That's it.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in support? Seeing none. Anybody here in opposition? Please come forward. Please turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Senator Jones. Okay. Chairman Henderson and members of the Local Government Elections Committee, I'm speaking today as an individual who has lived in the state of Missouri for over 74 years, and just to clarify the accusations that are being made, I have no financial dog in this fight today. I'm asking the Local Government Committee to vote do not pass on this bill for 2 reasons. First is local, it violates the principle of home rule. Let's look at the communities in the district represented by this committee. A review of the Missouri Department of Natural Resources Code database shows that for cities sampled in your districts, the vast majority are using energy codes more up to date than the outdated 2009 code. Park Hill, Farmington, Jackson, Webster Groves, Alsip, Concord, Oakville, Cameron, Carleton, Henderson, Raymore, Baltimore, Warrensburg, Kansas City, Sugar Creek, Independence, Gladstone, North Kansas City. And in Representative Jones' House District, none of the 3 major incorporated cities are using the 2029 code, including Parkville, which recently adopted the 2024 code. As you, I'm sure, could appreciate, it takes months to develop energy codes. This takes staff work, it takes a number of hearings, it takes a careful consideration by the leadership in those communities of what's the balance point between first dollar and the life of the building. And Chairman Henderson, if I remember correctly, last year I believe you made some comment about the age of your house, and the average age of a house in Missouri is 43 years.
So we're talking about a significant commitment beyond first dollar, first person cost. We're talking about a significant commitment to the citizens of these communities to make sure we're doing what's reasonable in terms of a balance between first dollar and energy efficiency. And I can assure you that 99% of the general public doesn't know what a HERS rating is. They don't know what an insulation code requirement is. That's where we need leadership to say this is what is necessary to create a safe environment. So let's go back to the specifics. We were here last year, and as you may remember, the primary testimony focused on Kansas City adopting the 2021 Energy Code, as Senator Nurnberg referenced. And as you may remember, the House bill was supported by the Home Builders Association, which, to put it kindly, was pissed off at Kansas City for adopting the 2021 code. What has not been presented in detail today, which surprises me, is that on February 5th, 2026, Ordinance 260144, which was passed by the Kansas City Council, allowing amendments to residential energy sections, exterior wall installations, total building performance HERS scores, rating index compliance, duct testing, and to promote regional competitiveness. And two of the requirements that seems to be a major concern to people have also been eliminated. That's the provision of conduit for attic photovoltaic systems and conduit to parking areas for EVs where specific details are required. Taking away home rule from these communities in the state imposes an obsolete energy code and to resolve a dispute that doesn't really exist anymore. So the second reason to oppose the bill is a negative impact on establishing a consistent regional code for home builders. Kansas City initiated a study in December to see how they could bring energy codes in with other regional jurisdictions. The fact is that most Kansas communities are moving to adopting the 2024 code with modifications. Locking Missouri municipalities into a 2029 code guarantees that it would be impossible to achieve this consistency. So basically what you're doing is you're taking away home rule from every jurisdiction across this state to implement an obsolete energy code to resolve a debate that doesn't exist anymore. This doesn't make sense. Finally, you will hear testimony that there are major safety concerns over the stairwell section and unfunded mandates issues related to the code reviews that in combination with the energy section makes this omnibus legislation dangerous, incomplete, and flawed. I urge you to vote do not pass. This bill should be sent back to the House for a careful review and revision.
Any questions? Senator Begin.
Now, you had stated that this impedes in what was it? In with these communities? If we pass this, what does it impede?
Well, it would cap energy codes at the 2009 level, which is obsolete. And in fact, the agency that produces these codes no longer publishes it. You can't buy a copy of this code.
But so these communities, you named a few in mind, when they buy this software, they adopt these things because the software comes as basically a complete model, and it's really cumbersome. So that's why they adopt these in a blanket adoption, instead of piecemeal going through all of these codes, but kind of even more narrowly tailored. I mean, you talk about the community rule, but let's talk about the individual homeowner rule. Mm-hmm. Them deciding for their own home what they want to do with their own home. Applying a basic bare minimum standard, I mean, is like the 2009, I think is totally adequate for our temperament and was adopted and was premier at the time of 2009. Our climate and everything has not changed that much, I don't believe, since then. I mean, you may believe in global warming, but I don't believe it's warmed to the extent that we need to adopt these ridiculous codes. When we've seen material prices literally in 5 years all but double for every single material that's being applied on these homes. So we're seeing these communities like Raymore, where people aren't buying or building new homes. They're having to build these big, massive multi-family that cost $2,000 a month because they can't even afford to build a house. So this is just setting a standard for the local municipalities to ensure that it's okay to have a minimum standard, but to enforce a premium, requirement like this that makes it to where these homes are unachievable for the spec home to be built any longer. Again, I don't see the real true benefit, and again, nothing prohibits an individual or a builder from opting to do this on their own accord. Does anything in this bill require that they can't use the highest standard today?
An individual has a choice if they want to exceed codes on their own property.
That's right.
But we're talking about local control and local jurisdiction.
Well, local control is an individual.
I just read to you a list of the number of communities.
Local control is the individual and the person that is paying for that home. That is local control, not a government entity telling you how you have to do things, making it to where people can't even afford to do those things any longer because of government regulation. Thank you.
Other questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you, sir. Anybody else to testify in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jorgen Schlemer on behalf of the Fire Service Alliance, represent the fire districts, fire marshals, fire chiefs, fire and fraud investigators are all part of this group. This bill, I'm speaking only on the piece of the second means of egress. It talks about buildings that are 6 stories or less, eliminating a fire escape on 6 stories or less. There are other states that have done this. They have incorporated into their code, however, other countermeasures to offset that. Secondly, the fire districts, the first things that came to their mind was, first, not all fire districts have ladder trucks to assist people on the top floor if there is no second means of egress. Secondly, what if the fire stairwell is blocked? Third, what if they're all trying to come down at the same time and the EMS personnel and the fire personnel are trying to go up that one single stairwell? Those are built too narrowly. In thinking that there's actually going to be 2, this limits it to 1. I do have a letter from the National Association of State Fire Marshals, which outlines many reasons why they're opposed to that provision of the bill. I will leave that and happy to take any questions.
I have one question. Is there a way to work this out? I've gotten some of the emails from some of the fire and some of the concerns. I see what they've got there. Is there a way to work this out? Because I think the sponsor talked about that earlier, that he was willing to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I should have mentioned that when I got up here first. We're always happy to visit with Representative Jones and talk about what an alternative would be. I think I don't know if the conversation is around a single-story home versus a 6-story apartment complex. Those could be 2 different conversations, but I will absolutely commit to make sure that I get our folks down here and visit with the representative.
Any other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you.
You bet.
Anybody else to testify in opposition? Please turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Jake Hummel, representing Missouri AFL-CIO, here to go on opposition to this bill. For many of the previous reasons stated, I do want to point out the hypocrisy that I've heard that we are okay with local governments having no codes, but if they try to put they try to go higher, then we don't want them to have those. I find that a little disingenuous. If we want to go back to pre-2009 codes, then let's apply it to everybody across the state. If you want to have a set of standards and you think that's a fair standard and that's a safety level that we should have, then let's take it all, let's make every municipality and every county in the state adopt those pre-2009 codes.
Questions for this witness? Senator, begin.
I mean, I would be better off if we just had optional if you wanted to for your own home, no matter where you live. So that's my position. If I want to go get a permit, I should be able to get it permitted. If I don't, I shouldn't have to. So that's my standard. I just wanted to clarify that.
Here's the problem with that, Senator. There's reasons why these codes are put in place.
I know what they're for, but,
Earthquakes,
and if I
people
want to.
have died, fires where people have been trapped inside buildings, and I'm not talking about a few people. I'm talking about large buildings that have burned to the ground with hundreds of people dying in fires. There's a reason that government steps in and makes things safer.
Did you know if you're a big outfit, a national home builder code, you don't have to even get permits at the local municipality because you go above that? Did you know that?
I did not. That's new to me.
So yeah, if you're a big national home builder, you don't even have to go by the local codes. You can just build because you're a national chain. So they don't even have to, but everybody else has to. But
well, let's take it back to 2009. If that's the standard that you guys think is acceptable, then let's make everybody do it.
I mean, I told you what I think is acceptable. So I just wanted to clarify that, saying that it's hypocritical. No, I mean, I'm just saying where there is a standard or a requirement, at least making it as bare minimum as possible.
Sounds like 2009 is where everybody agrees.
Go ahead, Senator Beck.
So I'd like to ask Senator Bratton, I'd really like to see that information where a home builder can come into a community and just bypass all the codes and build a house.
Yeah, it was a national chain in Lee Summits that came in. I think it was Pulte Homes. I think it was a national, and they did not have to go. They went bankrupt. And in fact, I had to go in and do work of some of the most shoddy work in the world because they didn't have to obtain any permits.
Well, you're kind of proving the point here that maybe we should have permits.
Well, they did. But you go anywhere else.
Maybe they started that, but I would love to see the information where they can.
But you can also go and look at some of the most strenuous sorts of like the Hyatt Regency that collapsed. I mean, I went by all those standards, and how many people died at that. So I mean, accidents do happen regardless of how stringent those requirements are.
I agreed. And then after that Hyatt accident, they fixed some things going forward, and hopefully that never happens again. We don't ever want to see anybody killed. When bridges collapse or whatever may happen, we don't want to see that. But yeah, if you have that information, how they were able to get by not doing the codes, I would love to see that.
Any other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else here to testify in opposition? Turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Jason Vandiver, and I'm the Director of Technical Services for the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, otherwise known as NAMA. We represent the fiberglass and mineral wool industry. Missouri and Kansas are a national hub for insulation manufacturing. CertainTeed and Owens Corning operate fiberglass insulation plants in the Kansas City area. Owens Corning also manufactures mineral wool insulation in Joplin. These facilities support jobs and produce building products that help families manage energy costs. Insulation is unique among building materials because its sole purpose is to save energy. The better insulated a building is, the lower its heating and cooling bills. For that reason, NAMA supports energy codes as the tool for setting cost-effective insulation levels. In practice, this means the modest upfront cost of insulation is quickly recovered through lower annual utility bills. At the same time, NAMA does not support energy codes that are not fuel neutral, that mandate electrification, that set decarbonization targets, or that require rooftop solar, EV charging, or battery storage. We believe energy codes should be limited to cost-effective measures that make buildings more energy efficient, nothing more. I understand that Missouri builders are concerned about construction costs. That concern is real. But it's also important to recognize that homes built to modern energy codes deliver lower lifetime utility bills to the families that buy them. Most home buyers reasonably assume that a new home will be energy efficient. House Bill 2384 would prohibit Missouri from adopting an energy code beyond the 2009 IECC. That would lock in higher heating and cooling costs for the life of new homes, with little or no meaningful upfront savings to the buyer. By contrast, the 2012 and 2015 IECC are about 20% more efficient than the 2009, with minimal increased upfront costs. In fact, according to the Pacific Northwest National Lab, building to the 2012 and 2015 IECC in Missouri generates positive cash flow in year one of a 30-year mortgage. In today's world, cash flow is king. I don't know about you, but I would happily pay $10 more a month on my mortgage to save $45 a month in utility bills. This is exactly what the 2012 and 2015 IECC offer over the 2009. In closing, NAMA respectfully urges the committee to modify the bill by setting the ceiling for energy code compliance at the 2012 or 2015 IECC. This approach addresses builders' first cost concerns while meeting the expectations of new homeowners and helping to protect them from rising gas and electricity costs. I thank you for your consideration and your time.
Okay, so you're saying that you would like to see us actually roll back what Kansas City has, but roll it back to 12 or 15, is that correct?
That's really the sweet spot. I mean, it's the spot, in all honesty, that the 21 kind of went overboard. That 2012, 2015 level, again, according to the Pacific Northwest National Lab, save you $45 a month in utility bills for $10 a month mortgage increase. It's
Okay.
kind of a no-brainer.
I just wanted to hear the clarification. Any
Yes, sir.
questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else in opposition? Turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Glasses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I serve as the Executive Director of the Energy Efficient Codes Coalition. My coalition supports and represents stakeholders that are responsible for the creation of thousands of building and construction jobs and millions of dollars in building and construction research and innovation. For the past 20 years, the coalition has helped to work to make homes and buildings more affordable for consumers. I'm here to urge you not to vote for the bill unless it's amended. Why? Because the bill as written does not promote affordability, it stifles it. Affordability includes the ability to pay monthly utility bills and the maintenance of the home. There is a high cost to cheap construction, and the homeowners always pay the price. Energy codes protect owners and renters. Restricting the local adoption and implementation to the 2009 IECC would result in higher utility bills, stress on the energy grid, and leave less available energy for manufacturing and technology center development. Newer versions of the code help make buildings more affordable by improving efficiency, durability, and reducing moisture risks and other issues. Buildings that are more durable and healthy cut high maintenance costs and mitigate the unquantifiable high costs of health issues associated with moisture, mold, and poor indoor air quality and other issues. We support energy efficiency regardless of energy source. We don't advocate for measures that promote electric equipment over gas equipment or that require renewable energy or electric vehicle charging. The focus is on efficiency first. We know that the cheapest form of energy is the energy that you don't use in the first place. We urge you to oppose the bill, but if you do move it forward, we do ask that you amend it. We believe that maybe the 2015 is a more appropriate place, although I think that the 2021 is justified as well. I'll say that, and 2024 is fine as well. They all have cost-effectiveness analysis associated with them. But I will say we do support the 2015. It is 20% more efficient, or saves 20% more energy savings than over the 2009 versus the 2009. And we also support it because it adds flexibility. The 2015 IECC includes an additional compliance path called the Energy Rating Index. We heard HERS mentioned earlier. It's the same thing, only it's in the code and it's the compliance path in the code. So that's added in the 2015 code, and it adds maximum flexibility for builders. In just 2 years, in fact, that ERI or HERS rating gained from 2023 to 2025, it increased the ratings in Missouri tenfold. And Missouri is ranked number 13 in the states with the largest improvement in ratings from 2013 to 2025. So, and the national average score that you get with the rating is actually lower than what is required by the 2025 IECC, making it a no-brainer for compliance. It should be easy. Nationally, it's the average across the board. So we also ask that you would remove commercial construction altogether from the energy limits. According to cost effectiveness analysis from the Department of Energy, the ASHRAE 2019 standard, which is referenced in the 2021 IECC, actually reduces first cost of construction for commercial and industrial buildings when compared to the 2009 IECC. That same analysis shows that the newer code deliver life cycle cost savings over 30 years of $3.5 to $4 per square foot for commercial and industrial buildings. So again, I urge you to vote against the bill or to consider an amendment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Looking around, I do not have any questions, but thank you very much. How many more here to testify in opposition? Okay, I have to give you the bad news. We have to be done by 3:45, so looking at those total number, I'm probably going to have to limit you to about 2 to 3 minutes. Sorry about that, but with the total number of them, and I have a hard stop at 3:45, so next one, please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Marcus Branstad. I represent the American Chemistry Council. We're a national trade association representing nearly 200 different companies in the innovative business of chemistry, and that business employs over 15,000 Missourians, including companies that make insulation, air sealing, and building and construction materials. Companies like DuPont, Carlisle, and BASF, with operations in towns like Pevely, Sikeston, Kansas City area, and the St. Louis areas as well. These are hundreds of manufacturing jobs for Missourians, products that are going into all different types of buildings all over the state. I think in order to kind of compress my testimony, I want to focus on just a couple things. One being technology. Being in the business of chemistry, we use innovation and technology to make lives better, healthier, and safer. And I think we see the use of technology adopted by us, and we adapt all the time. An example I can use is in 2009, which is the date that was being sought to roll the energy code back to. We had the iPhone 2 operating on iOS 2.0. We're currently at iPhone 17 on version 26.3, as I looked up on my phone earlier before I took the stand here. We need to take advantage of technology. We need to be looking at the newest and most innovative building products that are being used, that are being made by companies right here in Missouri. The building envelope, air sealing, insulation, these are things that are done generally one time in a building's lifetime and are very costly and difficult to improve upon after that. The building envelope, air sealing, insulation, this can all really be measured in new building by air exchanges. In 2009, there are up to 7 air exchanges per hour allowed in a home. That is less than every 10 minutes. The volume of conditioned air, whether it be heated or cooled, will leave your home. And that's with about let's say a 20 mile per hour wind. Perfect example of what's outside today. In 2012, 15, 18, as we go, we're looking at much lower air exchanges per hour. Disclosure is another thing that I think can be brought into the compromise on this bill. We see disclosure on energy efficiency from all different types of products, TVs, appliances, really everything else you buy in your home. But homeowners are not really being disclosed, or home buyers are not, it is not disclosed to them to which levels and what their expected utility bills might be. We stand ready to
city councils and boards of aldermen don't make these decisions in a vacuum. When they look at building codes, they work with the building community and the citizens and make many modifications. They don't use, so that's very important. Second part of the bill we have concerns about is with the time limit for approving permits. Currently, this bill says that all permits have to be acted on within 30 days. We don't think that's a reasonable amount of time. It may be reasonable for minor residential renovations, but is that the appropriate time for commercial and industrial projects, which could take much more approval processes, a lot of review from different utilities? We've worked with Senator Brown in the Senate on Senate Bill 1286 on this very issue, and he's extended his time limit to 60 days and only to residential properties. And we think that's a much more reasonable approach. And I'll answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next one in opposition. Please come forward. Try to keep it as brief as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris Brzee with the National Electrical Manufacturers Association. I'll try to keep it brief. NEMO strongly opposes this bill at a time when energy costs and demand is rising. Setting a ceiling of the 2009 IECC will raise costs for consumers, not lower them. By restricting adoption of energy efficiency and conservation measures to the 2009 IECC or IRC, this bill will create regulatory uncertainty and negatively impact long-term energy costs for homeowners. I would like to note as well, modern energy codes also provide benefits beyond energy savings. Homes built to updated codes also improve passive survivability. Passive survivability allows homeowners to safely and comfortably stay in their homes during prolonged power outages. Limiting localities' abilities to adopt updated codes could leave Missourians with limited options during power outages during an extreme weather event. Generally speaking, we believe energy demand is rising in the United States and it's expected to continue to increase, so this is not a static cost. Energy efficiency is the lowest cost option for meeting this rising demand and ensuring energy security for the entire country. Missouri can help secure energy security for the country by investing in long-term energy efficiency plans. Energy efficiency is just extremely cost-effective. Proponents of rolling back energy codes suggest that modern energy codes could drive up home prices and building construction costs. Energy codes do include flexibility and many paths for compliance, which allows for competition to meet these energy efficiency gains. We believe home prices are driven by a number of factors that are not even guaranteed to be impacted by the codes, and we have analysis that shows many of these cost increases between additions can be really minor and see a positive cash flow, often within a year or two, if not definitely over the course of the lifetime of a home. I will leave it there other than just say model codes are developed as a floor and not a ceiling, with many stakeholders involved, including home builder organizations. We believe that this would be a mistake to adopt this bill and respectfully request that you vote to reject this legislation as written. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next one to testify in opposition, please come forward.
Good afternoon. Chair Henderson, I would say committee, but Chair Henderson. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. My name is Laura Pastine. I'm an architect from Kansas City. I am representing the American Institute of Architects for the state of Missouri. So I'm representing 5,400 licensed architects across the state. I will cut to the chase here in terms of the pieces that we're really focused on, our opposition. Our single mandate as architects is to protect life, safety, health, and welfare. We're not here to make money on codes. We're not here to do any of that. We're here to keep people safe, 100%. So the provisions that were added this year beyond what we saw last year, the single stair for multifamily, that's a really big issue. We have looked at the other states across the country that have passed this, specifically Colorado and Texas. Both of them have provisions that this bill does not. Things like automatic sprinkler systems, things like 2-hour rated construction at our stairwells, notification systems, things like that. So there are critical things missing in this bill. And the Minnesota that was listed, they did not actually pass this bill. They passed a requirement for a study, and their study had executive level conclusions that came out, and the single biggest repeated theme was an automatic sprinkler system is the single biggest impact that we can make to protect safety of occupants and the building itself. So again, these are missing from this bill, and we see this as not being able to go forward without it. The other piece that we have strong opposition to is the permitting deadlines. The language in here is not 30 days, it's 30 calendar days, and it's for every type of construction from single family to multifamily to commercial to industrial. A lot of our commercial and industrial buildings are our high-risk and mission-critical buildings. These are our hospitals, our data centers, our detention facilities. These are our 24/7 buildings that have to run every minute of every day to support our communities. They have very complex reviews with multiple departments. It is not realistic or feasible to think that we can fast-track these and rubber stamp them. I will stop. Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize that we're running a little bit late today, but anybody else in opposition?
Pat Kelly, Municipal League of Metro St. Louis. Just want to go on record in opposition to the bill. Primarily the 30-day construction permitting. We think that's really problematic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in opposition?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, member of the committee, Will Mars on behalf of the City of Springfield, just want to go on record in opposition, primarily on the removal of the two means of egress portion. I spoke with my fire chief about that. Very concerned about a single point of failure without any sort of changes, as others have mentioned in their testimony. So happy to work with the bill sponsor on that, but that is our concern.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anybody else in opposition?
Mr. Chair, phenomenal staff. My name is Sarah Schlemeyer, here to go on record in opposition to the legislation on behalf of the Missouri Gateway Green Building Council. I will not belabor the point, but wanted to reiterate a couple of the points from previous witnesses, and I'll leave a one-pager here that kind of goes more in depth on those, but happy to work with the bill sponsor.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Shannon Cooper from the community that this bill is all about, I believe, representing Kansas City, Missouri today. Just go on record in opposition to all 3 points of the bill. They're all bad. So, but maybe a point that shows that local control actually does work. Back in February, the City Council made some changes to their code. They did a survey throughout the area trying to make sure that our building code standards, particularly in the energy world, are similar or the same as our neighboring communities, both in Missouri and Kansas. So there's no need for this bill. I won't touch on the fire safety issue or give you my long speech about the Hyatt collapse. So that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else in opposition?
Mr. Chair, member of the committee, Matt Thompson here in opposition to House Bill 2384 for all the local control issues you've already heard. But one thing I would like to add on the single stairway provisions, to keep in mind that a lot of the other states that have put that provision in statute either have opt-in provisions or the state has statewide building or fire codes in place, which Missouri does not. So with that, happy to take any questions.
No questions. Thank you. Anybody else in opposition?
Chair, Alex, good to see you all. Joshua Claridge here on behalf of Metro West Fire Protection District, Robertson Fire Protection District, the City of Eureka, Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Association, St. Louis Chapter, Mechanical Contractors Association of Eastern Missouri, and Mechanical Contractors Association of Kansas City would like to go on record in opposition. Quality and safety are very important to us. We want to make sure that, one, when you're entering a building, it's about egress, making sure people can get out of these buildings. That way your fire protection can get into them. Local control is another issue. We would like to make sure that the cities and the municipalities, local governments in general, are able to actually assert their authority in what they need to do.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in opposition?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Tyler Travers here today on behalf of Renew Missouri. Just want to register opposition to this bill.
Thank you very much. Next person in opposition.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, esteemed staff. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Carolyn Neiswanger. I'm here on the behalf of the Sierra Club, and I do want to just thank the representative for his work on home affordability, but I am here to make sure that we're in record in opposition. We do speak in opposition to this legislation every time it does come up, and our reasoning largely remains the same, just in the name of energy efficiency, building resiliency, and local control. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else in opposition? Seeing none. Anybody for informational purposes only? We've got one.
Last but not least, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. My name is Matt Belcher. I'm with the International Code Council. I live in Crawford County in an area called Jake Prairie. It's not on the map because we don't want it on the map. I'm representing the International Code Council. I've been a builder my entire life and just recently joined the ICC. I've served on ICC code development committees, energy code, building code. I was vice chair of the building committee for 25 plus years, representing the National Association of Home Builders. I have friends on both sides of this issue here today, and I want to compliment Representative Jones for bringing this to us. I just want to quickly get on the record. The code is developed. It takes a 2-year process to gather the information and get a code change developed. The 2027 version is in play right now. There are changes to the dual stairwell opportunity in buildings with some trade-offs for those. I would suggest that it was suggested earlier we kind of fall back and regroup on that. The energy code, same way. If we roll back to 2009, ICC doesn't even support that. I have a 2009 code book, and not many people I know do. So the codes aren't sold. You can buy them in an entire subscription, but you certainly do not have to. ICC does not make the codes. We facilitate the updating and creation of the codes simply by putting the hearings on, gathering qualified people to do them, collecting comments from the industry, collecting comments from the general public on those code issues. So it's a very well vetted idea when something comes into the code. I've been a proponent of codes as they level the playing field, and I think that there's some good opportunities here if we simply stand down for a minute and regroup. I also represent other states, Nebraska, North South Dakota, Wyoming, Kansas, and those states are really doing the same sort of thing. There are some other issues that people just are not aware of. The unintended consequence is what we're all concerned with, and there's plenty of those that are built into this. So I would urge that we table this, get together, and get this thing hammered out. Thank you, sir.
Did you say you're from Crawford County?
Crawford County, yes, sir.
Beautiful country.
Beautiful,
there.
God's
Beautiful
country, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Representative?
Briefly, just want to address a few of the,
Representative, we're right against the timeline. So
I'll be quick, Mr. Chair, I promise. For the record, 67% of municipalities have not adopted energy codes that exceed 2009 standards. That's number one. With regard to the representative for the architects, last year, all she cared about was the energy codes. This year, she's concerned with safety. So that was disingenuous of what she said right from the jump street there. The insulation representatives, both of them, if their technology works, let the free market work. People will buy it. But suddenly they're all concerned about everybody's utility bills. But I want to address that because I have an interesting study here. Because there was a builder that was building spec homes when these 2021 came out. They built a spec home 2009 standards and 2021 energy efficiency standards. And the savings after it was measured by a third party was $128 a year after spending roughly $15,000 to $20,000 for these upgrades. I'll leave you with that, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate you letting me speak.
Okay, thank you. The Committee on Local Government is adjourned.